Yeah, Doggo is the meme killer. Cashing up with your thriller. House party lights all flashing. Pop a bottle, no relaxing. Flexing in the VIP. Bitches trying to feeling free. Thug life, we wildin' out. Nothing but that money cloud. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo flying. Got my crew, yeah, we're deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drink in hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it higher. New York City, we own the night. The Doggo fam, we ready to fight. Meme lords, we taking over. Flip the script, we got the clover. All these hookers wanna front, but we grinding, never stunt. Doggo making big moves. In the game, we got the groove. So raise your glass, let's toast to the ones who do the most. For the life we live in bold. Doggo worldwide, watch it unfold. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Need money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. So remember the name is clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Need money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly. So remember the name, it's clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Need money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly.
All right, good morning, everybody. You're watching on the Smart Money Culture TV network. We're on your TV in Texas, Louisiana. From the word I get, we will be in Tallahassee and Miami next month. You never know on these things until we're there. Very interesting show. I did start out with Doggo Nation, because hats off to these guys. I stuck a bunch of money in these guys, and they have continued to move up. And actually, in a pretty sharp pullback yesterday and the day before, as the war was flying, as the missiles were flying, they held up very well. Same with Polka Gold. You know, I've talked about them a number of times. They are asset-backed in a way because they have the locked liquidity. The Polka Gold has the Algorand that's been locked and burned, and it's in those liquidity pools. And then they did the same setup with their meme coin Doggo. And you know, those meme coins, they just go crazy up and down and all around. But this one they locked up almost 15%, 10 to 15% of the supply of Polka Gold in the Doggo liquidity pools. And it was all community driven. The community put that money up. They put those coins up, and that is why it's performing so well. It actually was even moving against the market for a bit, basically against the market, because the market was going down and it was holding pretty steady. So I felt like it was a good moment to put them up there. I like you guys, like I say, I like you guys to have a good way in, and I like for you to have a good way out. Okay, and if you have big liquidity pools, you have a good way out and a good way in. So very important. So a lot to talk about today. Of course, we have the great Matt Dixon joining us in a bit. We'll have the Market Watch segment of the show. The title today, Navigating Turbulent Times, Money Moves in a World of War. HAARP, Weather and Wealth, Impact Money Show. Vance walked all over Walz, not even a debate. Why are hundreds of billions of dollars sent to Israel and Ukraine, but none to keep the U.S. border safe? I'm going to take that one out of the box real quick because, of course, it is near and dear to my heart. I actually am not optimistic about this election because we have so many newcomers that are here. Trump's the border wall that he wanted to build. He wanted 18 or 19 billion dollars for the border wall, and then he wanted another 5 billion. I think it was 23 billion total package to beef up the border patrol and get new agents and everything like that. $23 billion all in. we throw around hundreds of billions of dollars. I think we've sent over like 200 and something billion dollars to the Ukraine. We are always, I think, they always say that, oh, it's $3 billion or $8 billion that we send Israel every year, but I'm pretty sure we pay their whole everything. So in the Ukraine, we actually pay for all of the administrative staff, all of the retirement plans, everything for the entire government. Like, we pay everything. The U.S. does. I mean, it's absolutely insane what's going on there. And I am pretty sure we do the same thing for Israel. Okay, so and then it's all this other cost on and on and on. And why are they bombing everybody? Why do they keep bombing every country? I mean, they're bombing everybody. Because they know that the big bad United States is going to come back them up. And at a certain point, you hit a bubbling point, right? And they hit that. Everyone said, "Oh well, Iran attacked Israel." Well, Israel assassinated the guy in their capital. They killed this person. They killed that person. They attacked their electronic infrastructure. If anything else, this was remember the attack. They said, okay, we're going to respond, but we're going to respond on our terms and when we want to. Well, this is a response. Okay, so now Israel, though, is going to respond again. Markets, all in all, didn't spiral out of control yet. They did have a decent pullback. As we charted, the Bitcoin was going to have a pullback, and sure as enough, it did. We'll talk about more about that in a minute. But the fact that our quote unquote elected representatives care more about sending money over to other places and not protecting our own border is criminal. It's treasonous. And we have to do something about it, or we're not going to last as a nation. It's just like Israel over there bombing everybody. Well, if you just bomb everybody. And the other thing about it, I would like to point out that Iran attacked military infrastructure. Israel's just been bombing apartment buildings in the civilian population for a year now. All over, just tens of thousands of people, just murdering them, killing them. It comes back to you. It comes back to you. 100%. You cannot just kill tens of thousands of people dropping bombs on families and moms and kids and everything else and not have it come back to you. You sooner or later, you will have a boiling point. And we're getting there. You had everybody was here at the UN. We had a great event, the UN Blockchain Week. We also performed our song, The Rothschild Tax, and that was great. YouTube thought that was born in the USA. They sent me a message. He's born in the USA. Born in the USA. YouTube's so funny too, because you're like, if you can appeal it, but if you're wrong, we're going to give you a strike. And I'm like, well, all right, fine, guys, whatever. They're like, we'll just mute it. We'll just mute the song. Like, are they just muting it because it's the Rothschild's tax? I think they might be just muting it because it's the Rothschild tax. Nothing to do with Born in America. Doesn't even sound like Born in America. Born in the USA or whatever by Bruce Springsteen. What? Or, I don't know, guys. YouTube's funny. I like YouTube. I like being on YouTube. I try to, if I get, I try to make sure that I'm within their confines because I like being on YouTube. But I like the rest of them too. And we're on Instagram and we're on Facebook and we're on Rumble. We need to build up that Rumble a bit. I don't think many people, although we do get views, but we don't have a whole lot of viewers on there. But make sure to follow us at the Impact Money Show on Rumble. But no money. So we get no money for our border. So meanwhile, we have a literal invasion happening over here. We have, 20 million, 10, 20 more, who knows, million people here, newcomers. They're registered. There's multiple reports of them being registered to vote. If 1% of 20 million people, 1% vote in a swing state, it's all over. Okay. I don't think that as much as everybody thinks it's too big to rig, we're 2 to 3 point margins in the polls. And, it's all what people believe too. Remember, reality is what people deem reality. You know what I mean? So anyway, I hope we do, guys. I hope we do. But we didn't do anything about the magic of electronic voting machines. We didn't do anything about mail-in ballots. I mean, we had these guys, they had Congress. All they did was worry about Speaker Johnson got in, and I was watching his speech. First thing he did, we're gonna go help our greatest ally, Israel. Not okay. We're gonna close the border and help the American people. Never mind that eggs are triple. Never mind that our ports are closed, guys. We are gonna feel that. I forgot to put it in the title again. You're gonna start feeling that. The port boss. This is pretty interesting. If I can pull it up here pretty quick, he did not sound very nice. Let's see here, union boss. He says, "You guys are gonna feel it. Just wait till there's no cars to be sold." Here it is. I got it right here. Just wait till there's no cars to be sold. This is here it is. Wait till there's nothing to be sold. He says it better than me. I mean, he just kind of lays it out here about what we're facing here on this port, on these ports. Listen to this guy.
They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you. And
just to put it out to everybody, what they're demanding is a 70% increase in pay. 70%. I realize everybody's hurting. I realize people don't have a lot of money right now, but 70%, and guarantees that they're not going to even go semi AI automation on like the crane operating and stuff like that. Anyway, here.
You have no idea what that means. They're going to be like,
oh, that's not the whole thing. Hold on now. That's not it. Oh, man. Okay, here it is. Here.
These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, "I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you." Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. No.
Now here we are going into a world war. We have inflation out of control. We have, the central bank continues to print money. The money supply is out of control. And we have this guy, whoever he is, and I don't know him. Maybe he's a nice guy. He didn't seem like a nice guy. And he's going to cripple us. I just, screw these guys. All right. And I understand if you're working and needing more money, man, we all do. Okay. But 70% is completely out of line. It's completely out of line. Now you're going to cripple us. You're going to have people not being able to sell cars. You're going to have, and then you heard him. Okay. So the president's going to pull this move and then we're going to have to go back to work. And then we're basically not going to work is what he says. We're just going to work, instead of doing 12 things an hour, we're going to do 8 or whatever he said. They're going to drag their feet and nothing's going to happen. I think if they want a 30% increase like the West Coast got, fine. I think that's reasonable. Sure. AI automation is coming, it is what it is. That's gonna be on all of this. One other thing, the other part I wanted to touch on, maybe I'll touch on that actually on the other end of the show, is HAARP. HAARP. HAARP is a real thing. You can Google it. Even Google will tell you. HAARP is real. HAARP is high frequency aurora research program, the University of Fairbanks program, to study blah blah blah, basically to control the weather. I can tell you we've been controlling the weather at least since Vietnam. My dad told me they used to go through and they would seed the clouds and make it rain over the Viet Cong, and it would be all muddy for those guys for like a week or so before they would go in there and mess them up. And it would, of course, mess with their psyche. They would all have, crotch rot and foot rot and everything else. They're all wet and, miserable. Okay. That was back in Vietnam, long time ago. Okay. And if you look at that storm that happened, that they're not talking about that in the news at all, and we're going to talk about it on the other end, I think, a bit after the market watch, because I got to get to Matt when we have a lot to talk about here. But there's people up in the trees. They're pulling dead people down from the trees, and we're not even talking about it. All we're talking about is Israel and the Middle East. I mean, it's horrible what's going on over there. But like, I am been around a long time. I was talking to my guy about it yesterday, one of my buddies. I said, "Do you ever remember we're getting we've been around a long time. You ever remember them pulling out people from trees?" He looks at me and says, "No. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the market watch. We got the market watch report here with the great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt, there is a lot going on. How are you?"
Hey, morning, Bruce. Morning, everybody. Yes, it's again not pleasant news, of course, as you say, all the deaths, no matter what the story behind it. I mean, I know a lot of people, me included, don't necessarily agree with the way you were portraying it, but even so, it's terrible no matter what. Deaths on either side, it's a terrible thing. We did, unfortunately, the signs were there. I posted only a couple of days ago. I'll share my screen just to show this. But we were expecting it to be a pullback. We've been talking about it for some time now, saying that we're due a pullback in the market. So it's just amazing how, once again, the markets tell you in advance that there's a pullback due before there's any news to say exactly what's going to cause it. So just on my Twitter feed, I think this was only, it was only yesterday, posted this: world holds its breath as Israel set to invade Lebanon. Obviously, that's old news now because we've had the Iran thing. I said here, this post was all about that the markets were basically climbing a wall of worry, ignoring all that news. But I did say that just put, where is it there? But basically, oil appears oblivious to the risks. And so markets continue to climb a wall of worry. And I put until ... So this was anticipating that I did really expect something more to come out of this with the goings on, with the escalation. So we talked about it in the last show that we ran together about the potential risks of escalation, how this would affect the market. And so I'll jump into my charts first of all. So oil obviously has taken a big jump up, 5% overnight. We see 4.97% here, 5% overnight jump in oil price. That is because the risks to supply, and I mentioned this the other day about supply and demand. Now, demand may be diminishing a little bit. We've got those counter weights at the moment that the Fed are dealing with. We've got basically still elevated inflation, yet slightly slowing growth. So slowing growth means lower demand for oil, but then the higher inflation, they need to maintain higher rates. And the Fed actually came out yesterday, I think it was actually Fed Chair Powell himself came out yesterday and said that they're going to moderate their expectation for lowering interest rates further. So this is what I've been saying all along. If you remember, I don't really see how they could lower rates by half a percent, 50 basis points, when there wasn't really the data out there to support that. The economy is still reasonably robust, not tanking in any way. And we've got highly elevated inflation. So how can they drop rates by 0.5%? And they've already started to step back and say, okay, we effectively are saying perhaps we overdid it. We're going to moderate the rate cuts moving forward. This is not good for risk assets. So whilst we were in a Goldilocks scenario for risk assets, while there was no war and we had lower interest rates and expecting 2 more cuts this year, and we got a really nice rally in the risk assets, Solana, Bitcoin, everything was rallying really nicely. But then almost on a sixpence, everything turned around We've got Fed Chair Powell saying fewer interest rate cuts or slower interest rate cuts or whatever. We've got the escalation in the Middle East, and we haven't yet seen Israel's response to that. I mean, don't forget, last night was Iran. And again, I won't get into too much of a heated discussion.
It's like they're always responding. The one's always responding. Oh, we're responding. We're responding. Someone's got to sit down and not respond one of these times.
Yeah, I agree. Although, to be fair, well,
yeah.
I mean, the problem is there is all the Iranian proxies roundabout. So you've got Hezbollah is an Iranian proxy. So we know Iran's sole desire is to eliminate Israel, to completely eradicate Israel. And this is why I say there's definitely two sides to every story. So I won't go into it too much because anyway. So we're still seeing oil climbing. So Israel have said there will definitely be a response, a retaliation. Now, whether right or wrong, we're not here to really say what's right or wrong, but just to report what's happening. They say they will retaliate. And so oil price is still climbing. We can see it here. We expected it really because from the top on here, it even goes further back. It's all been corrective moves to the downside. That's a correction. So we do expect more upward movement in oil. That's not good because it means it's more expensive
higher inflation, higher cost of everything. Now we got the ports. Now we got the oil. It's like a perfect storm. Actually, that's what it feels like over here. I mean, I'm like going and buying extra paper towels, toilet paper, stuff like that, stuff that comes in from China on the ports because I don't really see a quick end to this port thing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really difficult to know where it's going to go. So we do look to the charts. You know, the charts were telling us, and I was saying we're due a pullback. That's precisely what happened. So as so often happens, the news comes in to validate your charts and tell you what's happening. I'll just jump over to S&P 500. We saw just a little bit of a pullback there, but it's still very, very minor. Let's see what happens today. I mean, it's quite a pullback, but in the whole scheme of things, you can see it's absolutely nothing.
I mean, it's so high. You know what was surprising was the Hong Kong Stock Exchange was still going like gangbusters.
Yeah, amazing. So the world economies are still booming. So we're not going to see lower interest rates. I said I think that will be. They're certainly not going to cut next time round. I don't believe, and we're already beginning to see that.
The Hong Kong Stock Exchange is up 6% today.
Wow, that is phenomenal. Absolutely.
It was up like 3 or 4% yesterday.
Yeah. So they've had easing of monetary policy. So there's more money flowing around. Whilst this, I mentioned this again, it was on an X tweet I put out that money supply is actually rising again sharply. So whilst money supply is rising, the money has to go somewhere. And so clearly it's going into these risk assets. Hong Kong had been hit hard previously. So the money's got to go somewhere. And this is it. It just drives up the risk assets. It's not good for the ordinary person on the street because they're not the real ones holding all of the risk assets. It's the rich people. It makes the rich richer. And the
well, that's what we talk about all the time, right? And so when they put so much money out there in circulation, it takes value away from the working people that are all in dollars, people that own property, people that have digital assets, people that have real assets. These people we're getting more wealthy while the people that are working all the time are hurting.
Yeah. I guess the big question on everybody's mind right now is this correction over or does it have further to go? So that's, I guess, where we probably should be focusing right now. So this is Bitcoin relatively long term here, looking at the push higher to the all-time high here at 73,000 and odd, and then this corrective move down. So I have said that I do expect to push to new all-time highs. So I do believe that medium term, that the trouble in the Middle East will blow over for the time being. I suspect probably may well have a retaliation by Israel, so that will probably create more downward pressure for the short term.
Yep.
But I'm looking at this definitely looks corrective from the all-time high, so I do think we're going to get new all-time high to come. There's a number of different ways you can count this, but either way, it probably looks as though it's just a correction because it's all overlapping, so we should push to new all-time highs. And the other risk assets, Solana, the whole lot basically should follow suit and push quite a bit higher. So that's on. I won't flip back and between them. I'm going to look at wave basis in a minute. That's the automated wave count, just to see what they have to say on their neutral outlook. But that's Bitcoin. As I say, we had quite a strong move down last night. I mean, we did touch 66,000 last night. we touched down to 60,000. So that was basically about 10% drop overnight, which is a fair old chunk. And the question is obviously whether it's over. Well, at the moment, I don't think it is over because this is an impulsive move down so far. It may just be an A wave. We'll perhaps get a choppy B wave higher, which we're on at the moment, and we'll get a further C wave down, I think. That's the minimum I would expect. I would expect some more downside, even though very short term, sort of immediate, we may get a bit of choppiness. But I do expect a little bit more downside to come on Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is going to be, I imagine the response is going to be massive. So again, just people are going to want to sit out of the market if nothing else. They're going to want to sell their positions, get out, get back in.
I mean, the talk is that Israel are going to target their nuclear sites, their nuclear research and so on. That has been done before without a major impact on the market. So I don't know. They just want to ensure that Iran doesn't get nuclear weapons because, as I say, their sole motivation is to eliminate the nation of Israel. So
I mean, that's the second time you said it. Their sole Israel's sole thing is to make the greater Israel. You know what I mean? So they want to eliminate parts of Iran and everything too. So it's both ways. And actually, Iran has shown an amazing restraint in their response both times. Amazing restraint.
Well, they said again, but I reckon they threw everything at it pretty well, as much as they could throw at Israel. Israel, obviously, their Iron Dome, their help with it from America, from UK, from others, helped protect Israel. So Israel weren't damaged, it seems, by this. Iran was saying 90% of the missiles got through it. Who knows whether that's true? I don't think it's true. So anyway, as I say, there's a discussion to be had, but probably here's not the place to argue it out. But anyway, that's Bitcoin. I just want to look at Solana. Now, I want to focus on this just a little bit. It won't take too long, but I'm always going on about divergences, how important these divergences are to tell you where price is going. So I'll just run through these very quickly. So divergence is basically where you get a difference, basically higher highs in price and corresponding lower highs in RSI, or you can get lower lows in RSI and higher lows in price. There's various kinds of divergences, but they tell you if it's a regular divergence, it tells you of a reversal in price is about to come. And if it's a hidden divergence, and again, I posted on my X feed, the difference between those two, the definitions behind hidden and regular divergences. So anyway, here we have, first of all, a regular bearish divergence. That is where you get high highs in price and you get corresponding. When I say corresponding, they have to line up. The peaks here with price and RSI have to line up perfectly as I've done this with every one of these. So we've got higher highs in price, lower highs in RSI. That tells you of a reversal lower. And it happened absolutely precisely, at that point there. So what you would do is you wait for a red candle to close to confirm a turnaround, and you probably jump in a short trade here, or you'd take profits if you're in a long trade on the way up. So that was the signal that the top was there. It's telling you that price is exhausted and it's not supported by volume. So clearly price was going to fall. Now here we got what's called hidden bullish divergence. This is where you get higher lows in price and lower lows in corresponding RSI. This tells you of a continuation upward in price. So if you had gone short here, you'd sold the market. This was the time to close your trade because you got hidden bullish divergence telling you that there's going to be now a continuation of upward price movement. And you can see it happened precisely. We just got a shadow below on the candle, but it happened precisely pretty well on the dot. Price moved higher. Here again, we got lower lows on price. So once again, this is another hidden bullish divergence, and just look at the response. Following that hidden bullish divergence, massive move higher. Then we got here. We knew where to close it up here. We've basically got a regular bearish divergence telling you high highs on price, low highs on RSI, telling you of the decline, precisely what happened. So I won't go into it, probably bore you if I go into every single one. I've done enough of them now. But sufficeth to say, every single divergence was honored by the price action that followed. So it is one of the most predictive indicators, and it's labeled by many as a leading indicator on price. So it's it's pretty unique in terms of indicators. Most indicators are just lagging indicators. Look at previous prices, which has no predictive value. And I mentioned a book by Burton and Malkiel, 1973. They were very famous economists, and they wrote about random walk down Wall Street. Basically, looking at past prices, you cannot predict future prices just based on the past. So this is one of the best indicators that there is. I use it in combination with Elliott Wave and a number of other simple indicators. And just looking at simple indicators, by the way, I'll just flip over to Toncoin here. One of the simplest you can see are just simple chart patterns. I'm bullish. I've been bullish, Tom, but I'm a little bit worried here short term because we have a head and shoulders pattern.
I will say something as well, just before you even dive into it. You know, I don't know if you noticed, but it was really, I mean, a lot of the exchanges, they don't have the deposits and withdrawals enabled for Ton. Like a lot of them. And this is very worrisome as well.
Yeah, I mean, that completely limits liquidity on the tokens. That is a concern. Yeah. So here we've got head and shoulders pattern. You've got head at the top, shoulder, shoulder. And what is really telling here is the right shoulder is lower than the left shoulder. And that actually tells you that's a stronger sign that you're likely to get the downturn from here, precisely what happened. And it looks as though we've had, even from here, from the shoulder, it looks like a 5-wave move down. You can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction higher. So it looks as though we're probably going to head lower. We may get a short correction higher, just short, but I think we're going to head lower on Toncoin. So I think this is the change in the environment, change in the weather, as it were, change in the season that we're possibly entering. We were hoping for October. Maybe we'll get October later on, but I think we're going to start with certainly a stormy October to begin with, and it is the fall, as you call it, or autumn for us. And I think we're going to get, a bit of a stormy period. So just going back to Solana very briefly, again, it's a bit like Bitcoin. We've got the movement up, which is impulsive. We've got a corrective move down. Now, we may or may not have completed the movement down. I think I've got this better labeled on wave basis, but basically I think we've got a W wave down, X wave higher, and then we've got A, B we're working on, and we'll get a C wave down. So I do think we're going to get quite a bit lower on this and other markets. I think that's a reasonable, strong possibility. Obviously, no certainties. We always say that, but we need to bear in mind that there are possibilities and possibilities for some serious downsides. So just be very, very careful when you're trading this. I'll just look at DXY, dollar index here. We said this in advance again. This move down here looked like an ending diagonal, wave 5. That's telling you at the end of this move, so we have basically some kind of A wave up. We've got a complex B wave down, and we may get the C wave could even go higher than here. It could go above this. I mean, that's A, B. We'll probably get C wave higher. So you can disregard this here. This was just a best case scenario. I don't think that'll play out. I think we could go quite a bit higher for the dollar potentially. We've started out from last night really impulsively with the dollar. The dollar really got a bid on that bad news last night because money flows out of the risk assets back into US treasuries, which are the safe haven. That's where you go when there's trouble in the world. You go to US treasuries.
Well, just like we were saying as well, like people want to get out of their positions. How do they get out of their positions? They go back into the dollar.
Yeah, going to US treasuries because you get a really good rate of return on US treasuries and no risk. Basically, it's counted as zero risk. So that's why money flows into the dollar. That's exactly what's happened. But it corresponds precisely with our wave count here. Even from this point here, we've got a clear wave 1, 2, 3, 4, ending diagonal wave 5. And we clearly said in advance before any of this move happened that we expect there to be at least a minimum 3-wave move up, but it could actually be quite a substantial move higher. But as I say, minimum move up. So we expected downside just based on this dollar index chart. We've looked at SPX, I think. So I won't go into that too much here. I'll just move over very quickly to wave basis.
This was really interesting the way this played out.
Yeah, so this was wave basis. I've actually reanalyzed the charts. You can just press on the analysis button there and it just gives you another analysis. But basically, again, even if we count this as bullish, wave 1 up, wave 2 down, we've still got a substantial pullback. We've had an A wave down. So it's saying from this wave 2, by the way, we're looking at bullish higher to take us to new all-time highs. But in the meantime, we've just had a move higher. We expect there to be a correction down. We've had the A wave so far. We're working on a B wave, and then we should get a further C wave to the downside. So Bitcoin could drop, a bit lower to complete this correction overall. But I think some of the other charts are probably more communicative to us here. So we're looking at Solana here from the early days when Solana cost next to nothing. Well, say next to nothing, $8, $7 or $8. We had a very nice impulsive move to the upside. The move to the all-time high there of around. The all-time high was previous to that, but looking from there, the high here, the local high was $209 or $210. That's basically counted as a wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, working on a wave 4 correction. So what's interesting about this is, if we hover over the wave, we've got wave A down, we've got wave B up, we hover over B, it tells you where the next wave is likely to move to. And it's got there around the $90 area, somewhere around the $90 area as a potential target for Solana. That would tell you that if this is correct, a substantial correction on the way. So this again would align with all the concerns about interest rates and about the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, and maybe they'll rear their head again in Russia, who knows. So it's looking like from this chart, and this is the most most probable outlook. It's on their neutral outlook. I've not gone into the other outlooks for now. I won't complicate it. But on the neutral outlook, it's telling you potentially a $90 downside. So I mentioned to people the other day, I'm short all sorts of tokens. I went short before this market turned down. I clearly said it on the last show. What I do is, as soon as it moves into profit, I protect a little bit of profit so that if I'm wrong and price moves up here, I'm protected. I take a profit no matter what now. But as price moves down, I can take my stop loss a little bit further, basically trail the stop loss. I'd prefer to do it manually. I never do anything like this in an automated way. Yeah. I like to watch it manually. So I can trail my stop down now. If it drops much lower, I just make a much bigger profit. But if it goes against me, I take a small profit. Either way, it's a profit. And I think that's, as I say,
that's the name of the game.
Rule number 1, don't lose money. And then rule number 2, when you make money, try to keep some of it. Don't give it all back by just holding your position no matter what. You've got to take profits sometime, as Bruce is always saying.
Yep. So important. That's how you win.
So that was Solana. I think that's pretty clear. This is dollar index. This is really interesting one. I said potentially quite a bit higher on dollar index. And this, again, is the favored outlook for dollar index. It's looking as though it's going to go a lot higher, but even the next wave is looking at 108, 109 area, somewhere around there. So it's got 107, 108 area for dollar index. That's way higher than we are. It's 7 or 8% higher than we are. So potentially, we've got quite a bit higher to go with dollar index. That means potentially, if you think about it, a lot more fear in the market, which would cause people to encash investments from risk assets and put them into treasuries, US treasuries, as the safe haven to keep their money safe and to earn some interest on it. So that's why the dollar might strengthen, and at the same time, you see more weakness on the risk assets. So again, as we're so often saying, you need all the jigsaw pieces to fit together to give you the clear picture, and each side of the equation is adding up right now. The fact that the risk assets, the treasuries, the dollar index, etc., it's all kind of lining up. And then also the news that we're getting out of interest rate expectations and geopolitical news. So that's a little bit.
It was interesting, the speech that Powell had. I don't know if you watched it, but he was almost like hawkish and dovish in the same speech.
And that just shows the dilemma that they have. It has to be, they are hawkish and dovish, because obviously they're hawkish because they've got to be hawkish when you've got inflation much higher than it should be, and it's still way above target. So how they manage to reduce interest rates by so much when inflation's way above target. So that's the hawkish side, but the dovish side is the economy is still okay. It's not so bad, but there are some warning signs there, some employment warning signs. There's a few
port shutdown. That's really got me worried. That really has me worried. port strike.
Yeah, I mean that is a big issue because they're inflationary pressures and obviously production as well. So all in all, that's very, very worrying. As they say, a bit of a perfect storm perhaps forming there. So it's not ideal. So as I say, dollar higher. We'll just finish on SPX, S&P 500. This is again the automated wave count on a neutral setting, and from that low that we had back in 2020. So that's the COVID low, I guess. We've got potentially still higher to go. So like Bitcoin, I still think we've got new all-time highs still to come. But for the time being, we're expecting probably a pullback. So wave 3, hover over wave 3. It tells me where wave 4 is likely to pull back to. Bear in mind, the market right now is 5,700. We've had a bit of a pullback because it did peak quite a bit higher than that. So 5,700 now. But if we hover over that, it tells us that the target is around the 4,600 to 5,000. If it's the 5,000 area, then you can see it's quite a substantial correction. And that's what this is telling us, that there's likely to be a correction. Even if it's to 5,000-ish, that's still a very, very substantial correction to come in the market. So that would tell us potentially short-term problems, but at least it's encouraging that this is a wave 3. We then get a wave 4 pullback, possibly to this 5,000 area. But then there should be a wave 5 to take to new all-time highs. So like I say, Bitcoin, new all-time high to come. You know, I've often said I believe minimum 84,000, maybe way beyond that. That's the minimum expectation. But S&P is telling us exactly the same. Again, these jigsaw pieces are fitting together perfectly, that we see a pullback in wave 4. This is the current correction. We've possibly just begun at the moment with this escalation yesterday. And then following that, I think we're going to see a really nice rally. So if you are stuck in long positions, probably not the end of the world. As long as you're not leveraged, you can hold them, and hopefully we'll see new all-time highs to come. I tend to trade more actively.
And remember where we were charting with this wave analysis, where we thought with the neutral and the bullish where it would go, it was 57. So it could go down. That's what the wave analysis was telling us anyway, unless it's changed, down to the 57 level. Bearish, we could go even further down, but just keep that in mind.
You're talking about the Bitcoin here, or you're talking about
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I switched back to Bitcoin.
I'll just have a look. I'll just go on to assuming. Let's just see. Well, we'll just look at the two. So this is the impulsive outlook. It's just redoing the wave count here. Okay, the impulsive outlook is the same as the neutral one. So it's telling us of all-time highs to come after a correction. And if I go corrective and recount that, okay, this one is severely bearish outlook. Severely bearish outlook. You can see there, massively bearish. So that's actually not the favored outlook. So it gives you various scenarios. So you can count these waves differently. And as I said, there's always possibilities, and you have to allocate probabilities and use your risk reward to trade accordingly to manage your risk. So this is a seriously bearish outlook. Seriously bearish.
And is it still? I didn't catch it. Is it still 57 on the neutral?
On the neutral, I'll just check. Again, just go back to neutral.
Doesn't mean it goes there, guys. I mean, this could have been the dip. It looks like it'll go probably again a bit lower, but
yeah, let's just see. Well, it's got. Yeah, I'd have to look. Maybe that was over a different time frame. It depends where you start from. I mean, if I was to start from the peak, I'll just do that now and just see if that makes a difference. Just do the recount there. I mean, let's just see.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not telling me at the moment. Probably over a different time frame I'd look, but I'd say that's if this were to be counted as 5 waves up, you'd expect 3 waves down, a sort of 50% area. Yeah, around that 57 would be a sort of minimum expectation. So I do expect lower anyway, no matter what. Even if you look at a bullish scenario, I expect somewhat lower. I wouldn't be jumping in long, or if I did jump in long, I'd be very, very cautious with tight stop losses, because this is a very, very volatile period scenario environment that we're in. So I'd just be very, very cautious. I'd have to look again at that just to look.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to my chart on Bitcoin. Yeah. I mean, if that's, yeah, we had a WXAB potential. I mean, yeah, I was trying to be as bullish as possible. So if you counted this as some kind of wave, 1 up, 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, yeah, you're still looking at the, 61.8% of that move, that previous move. I'll just measure it here for you of the previous move. If this is what's called a nesting, so 61.8 is actually 57,820 something. So that's what it said. So that would be the most likely scenario. As I say, it's all about probabilities. This is the most probable for a wave 2 pullback. So it could be what's called a nested scenario. So we could have finished the low here. Then we got a wave 1 up, 2 down. Then in the next smaller fractal, we get wave 1 up, 2 down. And the wave 2 normally retraces a minimum 61.8%, minimum 50, normally around 61.8%. So again, if we look to the previous one that we called a wave 1, yeah, we dipped quite deep there. We dipped to 0.236.
49 or something, right?
Yeah, so it's quite a deep pullback there. So normally wave 2s are deep pullback compared to wave 4 is normally more shallow. So it's normally wave 4 is the shallow, wave 2 is normally deeper. That's the normal scenario. So we would expect a deep pullback there to probably around that 57 area that you obviously very well remembered that we mentioned on the previous show. Yeah.
I got my dry powder waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. I'm actually, I always am a bit concerned about people who may be potentially losing in markets when I wish for the markets to go to a particular place. But for me, ideally, personally, I would like there to be a deep pullback. I mean, Solana, as you know, is one of my favorites to trade. I would like there to be a deep pullback to around the area that was mentioned on wave basis, which is around the $90 area. It's a big fall from here, but then I think the upside will be absolutely phenomenal. I'll just go on to wave basis just to show you very briefly again. There's the potential pullback, 83 to 103. So if it gets anywhere around sort of around that 103, 104, 105 level, anywhere around there, I'll be jumping in long into Solana. So I'm just saying if it drops that low, I might even DCA from different levels. You don't jump in all in one go. So I might start to DCA, from higher up, but that would be my ideal target. As I say, would be somewhere around that $100 area would be an ideal target. If that happens, then we should be headed then after that to above $210. So if you can get in around 100, go 210, even without leverage at all, you more than double your money, over 100% on your money, which is phenomenal. From those levels, you might even consider 2 times leverage. Then you not only doubled your money, you've quadrupled your money. So, but that would be taking some risk. So not necessarily recommended, but even just go a simple long position, you could double your money, and it can happen really quickly. I mean, I was talking last night with somebody who's a big Solana fan, and he couldn't believe the speed it jumped from when it was around $12, $15. The speed that it jumped in this wave 3, which is very typical of wave 3. The rate at which it jumped, I mean, to $126. That was what was that? 26th of December. It was $126. It really took off from 22nd November. So in just 1 month, it jumped from $51 to $126. So that's 150% rise in 1 month. So talking about double and a half your money in 1 month, that's the kind of aggressive moves that Solana can show us. So if we get that pullback, I will be looking to buy dips with potential for massive upside. Just potential, no guarantees. So we need to watch what's going to happen with the Middle East, and that will give us a flavor on the markets. Obviously, there's also news coming out. We had some news yesterday, and we had Fed Chair Powell. We've got some news. I think we've got non-farm payrolls, if I remember rightly, on Friday. That's always very, very important. Big market mover. One of the big market movers I've been following for many, many years. So that is really important news to watch. So let's just see with the geopolitical, with the macroeconomic, and let's try to trade safe.
You got it.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
Thank you,
Exciting
Matt.
time. Depending on which side of the market you're on, but hopefully you're on the right side of the market if you'd followed us. We
Yep.
gave you the signals. So thanks for listening again. Look forward to catch up again tomorrow. And
Thank you, Matt.
take care. Thank you. Bye for
It was
now.
awesome. All right, cheers. So I want to talk a little bit about HAARP before we get on, because I promised I would talk about it. So HAARP is one of these programs that the U.S. I'm sure other countries have as well, but we have all of these multiple different programs that we've developed, unfortunately or fortunately. And as I mentioned, we have been controlling the weather since at least the Vietnam War. So we're going to read some of this stuff as I, live on air, but I just want to, so HAARP, and this is the Alaska, official Alaska website. Solar storm HAARP, not HAARP, creates intense aurora display. About HAARP. HAARP is a high frequency active auroral research program, or HAARP. It's a scientific endeavor aimed at just studying the properties and behaviors of the ionosphere. The ionosphere stretches roughly 450 to 400 miles above the Earth's surface, right at the edge of space. Along with the neutral upper atmosphere, the ionosphere forms the boundary between the Earth's lower atmosphere, where we live and breathe in the vacuum of space. The operation of the research facility was transferred to the United States Air Force to the University of Alaska Fairbanks in August 11, 2015, allowing HAARP to continue the exploration of the ionosphere phenomenon via the Land Use Cooperative Research and Development Agreement. HAARP is the world's most capable, high-powered, high-frequency transmitter for the study of the ionosphere. The HAARP program is committed to developing world-class ionosphere research, on and on and on. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to, I don't know a whole lot about HAARP, to be honest with you. I do know that we have been in control of the weather for a very long time now. This storm, Hurricane Helene, that came in here, I mean, this is, is just something about it is just crazy to me. I mean, really obliterated. And this is not really on the news, which is kind of like really interesting that it's not on the news. I mean, you can just see here what's going on. They're not showing us well. I don't have.
Nobody thought it would come here. Nobody thought it would be so close to home.
I mean, look at this.
This is my hometown. I was born and raised here. As I look around, we've got a lot of loss. We got a lot of destruction. Whatever you can do just to love your neighbor today. And that's what we're going out, is to serve in the name of Jesus Christ and to bring hope where they may not have any hope.
Okay, I didn't know that was going to be an ad there. 30% of world Bitcoin is in the void, and 60% is held by just 7,000 accounts. Makes you think. Well, my friend Rohit, you do bring up a valid point. One of the things that has changed with Bitcoin over the years since I first got involved when it was $70. Initially, the world powers tried to stop Bitcoin. The dark forces tried to stop Bitcoin. And then once they figured out they couldn't stop it, they just started buying it all. Once they figured out that they couldn't, they told everyone not to use it. This was for drugs, and this was for prostitution, and this is for child trafficking, and all this nonsense. When in fact, you talk to those guys, and what do they use? They use cash. They use cash, guys. That's what they use. Once they figured out they couldn't, they started buying it all. Now, the truth is about Bitcoin is now it is owned by a lot of the same central banking people that we've been fighting the whole time. Sadly. There are other options, of course. Global Boost, you can see up here. Global Boost Media. We started a coin. They started a coin. We helped them. It's a decentralized project. They use mining, and it's similar to that. Litecoin is another one. Other coins that are proof of work coins that may be decentralized, that have been around for a long time, that aren't going anywhere. Those could be better. But Bitcoin's probably going to the moon. Bitcoin, all the charts say Bitcoin's going to the moon. And now that these big guys are holding a lot of it, they're probably going to keep pumping into the moon. Bitcoin was always hard to get. Initially, it was hard to get because it was very challenging to figure out how to buy it, right? You couldn't buy it anywhere. It was hard to mine it. I mean, we were doing backroom deals. I had friends of mine that were mining Dogecoin, Doggycoin, trading in for Bitcoin, giving it to me. But they told me years later, man, I shouldn't have sold you all those Bitcoins. Should have kept those things. Yeah. C'est la vie, bro. But yeah, it is what it is. But I think that it will keep going up. It is one of those assets that you can have. It's the first time in the history of the world that we've had something that you can hide in your brain. If you have a bunch of gold is great. I'm a big proponent of gold. Go to @costmetal, @costmetal.club, @costmetal.club, and join. Let me just put up that banner. Where's that banner? @costmetal. Go to @costmetal.com. Use the referral link clubs. There you go. Or you go to @costmetal.club, @costmetal.club, and take you there. But sign up, get gold, silver, palladium, platinum at cost. But the fact of the matter is, you got to hide it somewhere, right? If you don't want it seized or taken or stolen or something like that. Bitcoin and other digital assets like Bitcoin, it's the first time in the history of the world that we've had something that you can hide in your brain and you can spend it. You can retrieve it from your brain. You can memorize your seed phrase. And here we go. @costbitcoin.club and @costmetal.club. You can go to those and buy. If you go to @costbitcoin.club, join my friends there, Coin Store. You can join there and you can buy crypto at cost, Bitcoin, whatever you want to buy. But you can store that seed phrase in your mind. You can throw away any record of it. Maybe not advisable to throw away any record of it. Maybe you keep some records somewhere, okay? Maybe you have a kill switch or whatever. Something happens. Wife gets it, whatever. Loved one gets it, something. And if they put a gun to your head, though, and they say, you have to give us the keys, and you say, no, I'm not going to, you don't have to. And it can't be frozen or seized by the government. And right now, we see government's out of control, right? So it's the first time in the history of the world that we've had something like that. And that is one of the reasons why the cartels, the banking cartels that ruled our country and most of the countries of the world, have decided they're just going to buy it all so that you can't afford to have it. But there are other plays, like I said, out there. Of course, you have the Global Boost coin, which is similar to that. Dalgo is really on a roll here. Let me just pull up my Dalgo again. It had ticked. It was green earlier. Dalgo, yeah, it said it ticked a little red here, but not really, not compared to everything else. Dalgo and Polk Gold. Anyway, great show today, guys. I'm excited about being on TV in Tallahassee and Miami. I think that's going to be great. Vance, Walz, guys. Walz looks so bad. We'll see though. As you know, I am not optimistic on what the result is going to be. I keep telling everyone every show that I think you guys need to think about what is going to happen if Trump doesn't win, because of course we're going to try to get him to win, but we'll see. Anyway, that's it for me today, guys. Got to get the kiddos to school. I am out of here. Love you guys. I will be back on your TV in 5 hours. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.